Welcome everybody to Now You Know's movie show. We're going to be reviewing the Bong Joon-ho movie Okja.
It's a Netflix orig.
Yeah. So this film had a little problems, I heard, when it went to Cannes. It was a entrant into the Cannes Film Festival, and it got booed whenever the Netflix sign went up. Before the movie.
Okay, yeah, it actually makes sense to me because a lot of people who are kind of film purists hate Netflix in the way they release movies because they don't typically release in theaters or do typical theatrical releases or whatever. So that's hence why I think that's part of the reason too why almost no Netflix movies have really been nominated for Oscars yet, because there's this sort of almost snobbery when it comes to the art of film and the way it's released and stuff.
You know, there's a law in France that if you release a film on the big screen, you can't release it on a streaming service for 3 years.
Wow.
No,
I actually did not know that.
I think there are similar laws in the United States. They're just a little less.
They're not as
3 years.
Right, not 3 years. They're months or something like that. Which is why Netflix is starting to take control and put stuff on their own website that
start
they
their own network.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty much.
Also, the whole
system.
exclusive.
Yeah.
The whole exclusive stuff.
Well, that's interesting.
So, I mean, before we get into the spoilers, this film is very majestically shot. Is it the kind of movie that you can really appreciate if you're watching it on too small a screen?
Yeah, I think there's some validity to that because I mean, I don't have a huge TV at home. It's maybe a 40-inch flat screen TV, which isn't bad. That's probably pretty typical of most people. And I don't know if they really translated as great as it could have if it was on a big screen. The awe factor for me wasn't really there for a lot of it. I could tell that's what they were going for, but at times I was just kind of okay, it's pretty, but I don't know. I feel like if it was on the big screen, you'd be like, whoa, you're just look at all the colors.
Especially with the
big
CGI
landscapes. And so much of this movie is in wide, there's some close-up stuff, but there's so many shots where it's just huge, just full master shots, just of a scene, And I feel like those would work much better on a big screen. So
I feel like a lot of our viewers might be like, Okja, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah,
this movie just
Okja?
came out in June, so it's not a hugely popular movie yet. If you're thinking about seeing it, before we get into the spoilers, what could we tell our audience about the movie so that give them a taste of what the movie's about, see if they're interested? Is this a kids movie, for instance?
I don't think so.
it crosses genres in a weird way that I had a hard time putting my finger on. I was sort of commenting to Bobby earlier that this felt like some sort of weird children's movie, but children probably shouldn't watch significant portions of it. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how to categorize this movie. This is the first movie I've ever seen by this director, so I don't know if this is kind of his style. But yeah, this movie blends a lot of genres in a weird way that's very unique. But yeah, I don't know if we want to do some sort of non-spoilerly plot summary just to give people an idea.
Basically, the basic premise is that this little girl, Mija, has a pet.
Yep.
This giant pet
Super pig, as they were calling them.
And the pig is lost to her, and she needs to go find it and get it back. So it's got a classic kind of tale,
adventure
tale.
Movie.
And you would think it's kind of a kids movie plot, oh well, I can go see this with my family. But like Nick said, I don't think you should see it with your family.
Yeah, I don't know.
It has an interesting twist.
It's got a different message.
It's got a dark comedy to it.
There's definitely, you probably want to make sure your kids are at least in the double digits maybe before they start watching this movie, because it would probably be very upsetting for some younger children.
Right?
To me, it almost feels like a longer episode of Black Mirror. Like a really long episode of Black Mirror, almost.
I can sort of see that. I don't know if it's quite as dark as that.
It's not
but
as...
it's definitely some of the themes
can dark.
In spots, for sure. Yeah. But, there's also some silliness and, kind of whimsy in here
very silly.
I think makes it a little bit different from Black Mirror. But, yeah, I think it's sort of a movie that has a very certain message that I feel like it's kind of like a warning almost to us in some way. So I feel like that is very Black Mirror-ish.
Bong Joon-ho also directed Snowpiercer, which I don't know if a lot of people saw that movie.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I did hear some pretty good things about it.
That was with Chris Evans?
Yes.
And so, it was very visually entrancing shot movie, very dark kind of messages. Yep. So if you've seen that movie and you liked it, that might be a good indication that you like this one. All right, I think we should put up our average rating here so that people can decide whether they want to go see it.
Yep.
And then we will tell you some spoilers. So if you haven't seen it yet, stop this, go see it, and then come back and watch the commentary.
Yeah, it only takes 3 hours to watch.
It's actually 120 minutes, Bob.
Okay.
No, it took Bobby 3 hours to watch it.
It took me a few weeks to watch, but it did take me a few weeks, so yeah.
So
So let's get right into the spoilers.
All right. So this was a $50 million movie, and that surprised me because I kind of thought that's on the low end budget kind of thing. I would think.
Yeah, that's kind of like high, low end, like low mid range.
Right.
Movie,
Especially since there's a lot of big stars in this movie. I mean, you got Jake Gyllenhaal, you've got Tilda Swinton, you've got Stephen Yeun, you've got Paul Dano. Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo Esposito, which I really enjoyed seeing him in this movie. That was a nice. That was kind of surprising. I did not know he was in this.
You know, he replaced Bill Nighy. Bill Nighy was going to play that role. If you remember Bill Nighy from, well, we'll put up his picture here.
Yeah, you'll recognize him. You've probably seen him in a bunch of stuff.
And I actually thought he would have been great in this role because I like him as an actor too. But yeah, I think Esposito.
I feel like it would have been a very different performance with him in there. Very different. Probably would have leaned more into that kind of satirical end of this movie.
I think it would have played off Tilda Swinton very well.
But are we talking about Gus Fring?
Yes, exactly.
I was
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I don't know the actor's name. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
You're expecting some chicken to be...
Some Los Pollos.
So anyway,
with all those big actors, I thought most of the budget would go to the acting, and there'd be no money left for CGI. So I was very surprised at one of the first scenes we have in the movie where we see a giant super pig.
Yeah.
Yes.
The CGI is crazy.
I was pulled right in at that point because I just fell in love with the actress Seo Hyun An, who plays Mija. I just immediately wanted to know, like, follow her story because she was she seemed like this tough, kick-ass little girl who could, save her pig or be saved by her pig, and like stand up to her grandfather.
Right. I definitely think of all the characters in the movie, she was probably my favorite. Her relationship with Okja was really kind of sweet and lovely. And yeah, she was a kind of like a tough little go-getter, kind of going on this journey to like save her best friend. So I did like her performance, and the CGI is like really incredible.
Oh my god,
some of the best I've seen.
My favorite part about the movie.
Yeah,
I just think it was like watching it as a video editor. I was in awe, just like how they can make this pig interact with things in the environment.
Right.
It's like like the one scene in the beginning where Okja jumps into the lake and it's like this huge splash, and I'm like, how? And then you've got her walking behind trees, and I'm like, how?
I wonder if they.
It was a spectacle.
I wonder if they, like, for the splashing scene, they just got like a big rock, covered it in green screen, and threw it in.
Yeah.
Well, they did use a lot of green screen for the pig.
Yeah.
Because there was a few scenes too where like Mija was like on Okja,
right?
And it's like she needs to be on something,
right?
Yeah. I thought it was at the end. One of the most interesting scenes for me, which is very like specific and weird, but like I liked it when they did the rolling thing where like the pig and her rolled simultaneously, so that it was like perfect.
It was
that seemed like an interesting shot to shoot.
It was interesting.
They didn't shy away. It wasn't like, okay, we'll have one big CGI scene where we'll put all our money. There was throughout the film. I mean, in the subway scene, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going on for a long time, and a lot of it was one camera, long shots. Like that's pretty incredible to put that together, and it was seamless.
And all for under $50 million with the actors.
Right.
It's just, it was pretty. It
was a fun adventure.
Yeah.
So let's go to some characters here. So we got Tilda Swinton. She is the CEO of the Morando Corporation, which sounds a lot like Monsanto.
Yeah.
So obviously,
some not so subtle allusions there to the real life company. Yeah.
Yeah, and this company, their big aim is to make a super pig, which will become basically a food source. Right. And so
all natural, no GMO.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. They just found a super pig in South America somewhere.
Yeah, right.
And they're like, yeah, this is natural.
Nice little fake backstory for the press.
Right.
And she's basically in love with her image, Tilda Swinton is. And so throughout the movie, it's kind of fun to see her character playing out. Very tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, right.
I believe that she was trying to do good for her and for what she thought was right. But I think that she was unintentionally hurting a lot of people, and I feel like she didn't really, she didn't have her morals straight, but I think that she meant good.
So, I mean, she keeps referring to her father as being this evil, like, I'm not my father.
Yeah.
But
the CEO.
But maybe she just got too much from him or something. Like, maybe her moral compass got skewed. I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think she grew up in a different environment than most people.
Yeah, it's hard to have context, I guess, in that way. If that's what you grew up with, then, I mean, how do you exactly? I mean, she could try not to be like him, but maybe there's too much they're ingrained to even realize that maybe some of that's still there, you know?
I think part of it might have also been that like she was just. It seemed to me like she was just trying to tell everyone that she was different, but she was like actually not, right? Because I remember the scene where she's talking to Gus Fring, and she's like, oh, all these consumers are worried about GMOs, and like that's not. You don't need to worry about that. So we'll just tell them it's natural. And
Yes.
So she was really like. I think she knew that she wasn't being like a good person.
Yeah.
And that she was like she just thought that it was for a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Now, what's up with her playing her sister? She did this in
weird.
a movie last year. She did it in Hail Caesar, where she played her twin sister. So what was the point of that?
Yeah,
I don't
Comic
know.
relief.
That was weird.
yeah, I didn't love them kind of introducing the kind of like the twin sister kind of like in the 11th hour there of the movie. And I kind of found her twin sister portrayal to be a little grating personally. There's some performances in this movie that were just too cartoonish for my liking. It was like a little too out there and like almost theatrical in the way they were so broad and big that it kind of took me out of it a little bit. And that character was one of the ones that kind of did that for me.
So would it also be the Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I
I
100%.
So people seem to love him or hate him in this movie. So like, where are you guys on?
hate
I didn't like
thumbs
it.
down.
So you thought that Jake Gyllenhaal's character was just too flamboyant, too shrill?
Yeah, it was too hard and like he didn't feel like an actual character to me. He felt like Jake Gyllenhaal being told, be as silly and broad as you possibly can act and do it. Like, I couldn't see, like, with this character he was supposed to be. It's just like, oh, hey, it's Jake Gyllenhaal dancing around and being goofy and silly. And I just, it took me out of it every time he came on
He was
screen.
nuts. He was just very
It was.
crazy.
It
Like,
could have
it
been.
was-
You need to rein it in, or they need to do something where maybe like that's the way he is, like on camera, and then like when he's off camera, he's another person or something, so that we can see that this is like a
see.
facade or something.
But he was like that
I
the
would've-
whole time.
That's
I
a
would have
good
bought
point.
that more, but just the fact that he was like that constantly,
That's
it just
a
never,
really
it
good
never
point.
turned off at any point. Like just like
You're right. He could have pulled it off if, when the cameras were rolling, he was that shrill guy.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
But
But
like,
he wasn't.
yeah, he was just that the whole
was
time. I'm
always
like,
that
it's like I have a hard time believing that this is supposed to be a real character.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of performances like that in this movie that were very over the top.
Do you think that's because the director's second language is English and not his first language, and maybe he was having, to do this kind of sarcasm requires a really big understanding of the language. And maybe
Yeah,
he
I think there
wasn't-
could be some element of that there too. I'm also not super savvy on like Korean films. I mean, I know there's some really great ones out there. Geez, I mean, they're gonna slip my mind. I'll put a list right here. You'll see some other ones come that. So like, there's a rich culture of like film in South Korea. So I almost wonder if that some of that is playing into this is kind of more reflective of those kind of films and more that. I don't know. There was something very odd to me about it. Maybe that's just my own sensibilities used to seeing American films,
Maybe also as an actor, when you get a director who will let you go
and just do whatever you want.
off the deep end, you're just like, yeah, this is fun. I mean, because it looked fun to play.
I mean, I think that just seems like to be the general direction that their director was giving to almost all the actors. Because I feel like, but maybe a few exceptions of like, Mija, is that how you say it?
Mija and her
character,
grandfather.
they were way more restrained.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe like Paul Dano too was a little bit more restrained, but I feel like a lot of the performances in this movie are almost, I want to say theatrical. They're like
Right.
very big,
Yes.
very broad. Like the way even some of the dialogue plays out feels theatrical. It's very kind of like heightens and like not restrained or normal kind of dialogue. That it's not very natural. The performances, they're very heightened.
Yeah, I think that the performance of the grandfather and Mija were definitely the two best in the movie.
Yeah.
In terms of like
That relationship.
realisticness, the relationship.
And Okja was great.
And Okja. Okja was a good character.
Yeah.
I mean,
The fact that you can, empathize so much with this, CGI creation.
Yeah, and
so much.
it doesn't make pretty much, it's almost all in the eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's
It's
hardly
almost-
any sounds that it makes.
Yeah, you really feel the emotion
And,
that's
like-
trying to be portrayed from that creation, and it works really well.
Like I think for me one of the most effective like facial expressions that I saw from Okja was like in the beginning when Mija falls off the cliff. Like you can really see like the fear in Okja's eyes and like when Okja sees the trunk that's sticking off the side of the cliff and like goes and jumps and like that, you really kind of it did a really good job of kind of getting inside Okja's head and seeing like, oh, this is what they're feeling and this is what he's
It also
thinking.
shows how intelligent.
Right.
they
Animals
are really intelligent. I almost felt like they were too intelligent.
They are super pigs.
They,
True.
it's
The unintended
just felt
consequences
like
of science.
I feel like the message of the movie is definitely a little bit like, oh, we have to like understand that animals have feelings too, which is so true. It's just it felt like it took me out of it a little bit because I feel like I can't relate to pigs being that wise. It just felt a little bit too smart for me. Like Okja didn't feel as, maybe innocent as a real animal would in real life. I thought she was innocent in the movie, obviously, in terms of things that happened to her. But yeah, I feel like animals in real life, it just felt a little bit more like a dog to me than a pig.
Maybe because we're not around pig. I mean, I hear they're super smart.
They are really smart, yeah.
And I feel like that's intentional too by the director to make you empathize with this
definitely
this creature that you
so
don't
that
normally.
when we get to the end, the impact is even stronger.
And I felt like I could see through that a little bit, and the
So
transparency.
yeah, I can see how that would take you out of it if you kind of when you see the mechanisms of the movie at play. You want to be kind of just like entranced and kind of suspend your disbelief. And if that takes you out of it, I can see that happening.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So that leads to a question. We said this isn't probably a movie for kids. Who is this movie for? Like that was kind of my big question as I was watching it. I'm like, I'm really enjoying this movie. It's not predictable in many ways. Like there's many plot points I didn't expect and many cool, like the Animal Liberation Front or whatever they're called, like, and Paul Dano's character, and like that's really fun stuff. But then I'm like, this seems geared for kids, but then it doesn't. It had many layerings like the Occupy Wall Street movement. Like I felt like they were, almost overtly when we get to the New York scenes, like that was shot almost identically where Occupy Wall Street was. And I felt like that was like, okay, Monsanto, Occupy Wall Street. So this is overtly kind of political. But yeah, I wasn't quite sure who this movie's for.
It felt like it was for the world, just like the people of the world to see it and sort of gather a new understanding. I think it's trying to convert people to be vegan. I think that's the point of the film.
Or at least vegetarian. Right?
Yeah, at least vegetarian.
I think it was mostly a focus on vegetarian just because they were focused on the slaughterhouses.
Yeah, right.
They didn't show any of like chickens cooped up in little tiny cages.
True, yeah. And I think that it's just, it seemed like it was for everyone to see and to just like watch it and change their lives. I think that was the point of the movie. I think that's why he made it.
And I mean, it could also be for kids, and then like the director just thought, this is an important thing that everyone needs to see, and despite the fact that it's horrible to see, and maybe that's the point, right? Like if you're not willing to show your kids this, maybe you shouldn't let them eat meat.
Yeah.
I just personally don't think it was for kids, mainly because like there were a lot of like captions and like subtitles, and I don't think kids like subtitles.
Yeah, I don't even like subtitles really.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
Do a little reading. It's fine.
So Jake Gyllenhaal's character, he's definitely getting crazier as the film goes on, right? He starts as just kind of a wacky scientist, like we're going to do this experiment, and then 10 years go on, and when we finally get to the super pigs and they're being slaughtered, he has to like go and do taste tests, right? He has to do samples.
That was hard to watch.
He had to take the samples. He didn't have to eat them.
Right, but I mean, he's in charge of getting the samples.
Yeah, right.
I think that was the most powerful scene in the movie for me when they take the samples from Okja.
Yeah.
Because that's sort of like, objectified the pig, and it sort of took you into this whole other, perspective where you look at the pig no longer as a character, but like as meat.
Right.
And it was like, oh my God. And like they showed the little samples, and like, at the time I was still, on the verge of whether or not to stop eating meat. And I was kind of just like, wow, that looks really good, but that's Okja. And it was just like, it was really weird. It was just like, oh my God, that looks tasty, but like that's the character.
A little mini sausage.
And I just thought of like part of me, like if I like put part of me on a little.
Yeah, so it was an effective.
It was an effective scene, I think.
And you mentioned that that's a movie that kind of pushed you over the edge.
I think so. Yeah.
Be vegan.
I think that that Okja did a really good job of pushing the message of vegetarianism and veganism, and like showing its importance of animals and like their rights. And I think that it did a great job like conveying that message, but I also did not think the movie was very good at the same time. It's like it did a good job promoting what it believed in, but for entertainment value, I think that it was lackluster in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think that there were some really powerful scenes, like what you were saying when he was taking the samples, and also
Yeah, second half of the movie.
right, the second half of the
sure.
movie for sure. Yeah, like so when they were in the apartment or whatever, looking at the video that Okja was transmitting when she was mating, and then the slaughterhouse, like those were all very powerful, and I think like it was those 3 scenes were powerful, and the rest of the movie was kind of just not. It didn't quite do it for me personally.
I enjoyed watching the corporation struggle. So as their message gets co-opted and they're about to, get bad PR, they try and pivot and take Mija as their new spokesperson and make her, make everything right again.
You create this new narrative that's like, oh, we're reuniting, like girl and her best friend.
And I mean, I kind of thought that was interesting to see that like corporations are always looking for how they can spin things to work for them, and they don't care what the true message is. It's all about the spin.
I think that would have been more effective for me if the CEO didn't sound so crazy. Like that was another like the performance kind of took me out of the movie a little bit there as well.
The other really scary part about that section was, I think, the fact that they said, like the Miranda lady, oh, the pig has to look good. Like, Okja can't be damaged physically because she needs to look good. She needs to be prepared so that people can see her. But mentally, they don't care what they do to her. And that was part of it, was like they tortured her mentally. And it's like, yeah, she looks okay, but I think that speaks for a lot of maybe like real, reality where as long as the pigs look good on the plate, as long as, they're fat enough to
as long as your logo has like a happy cow in a field,
yeah,
grazing of a sunset in the background or something. It's like, oh, look at this happy cow.
Well, because we saw this in What the Health, where we saw pig farmers down in North Carolina who basically just decimate their neighbors, and so the neighbors can't even live a normal life. And yet on their packaging, it's all you're right. It's suns over nice fences and
nice red barn, in the mill,
something sausage.
It doesn't
whatever.
look anything like what the reality of it is.
Right.
Nothing like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a very powerful part of the movie for me. There's some funny scenes, like when the Animal Liberation Front is trying to capture Okja and free her.
Yeah.
We got the scene where what's his name? Stephen Yeun is jumping out of the truck, and he says to Mija in Korean, what we see on the screen is translated as, Mija, try learning English. It opens new doors.
Yeah.
What I learned was that in Korean, he's not saying that.
Oh, really?
Okay.
He is saying, Mija, also my name is Kun Soon Bum, which translated would mean like some kind of old-fashioned, it's not even translatable really, but it would mean some kind of like old name. And so it means nothing of what it said. And I guess an interview with the actor later, it was kind of a little trick. Like obviously you're American, you're not going to speak Korean.
Yeah.
So I guess Koreans are told all the time in school, like, you have to learn English, you have to learn English.
Yeah.
And this was kind of a joke, like
that we should open
You're
our
nothing
door.
Unless you learn English, basically, Mija. And it's kind of showing, it's a trick it's showing Koreans a different thing than we're told. I thought it was kind of a neat, obviously the director must have intended it. Or
Right.
But,
Interesting.
That's really interesting, yeah.
So like we're kind of the naive ones.
Right,
we're the ones who don't know Korean, so we don't know what
I
he's
think
saying.
that reflects in the movie too, because a lot of the American characters in this movie do not look good. They look pretty dumb or silly or ridiculous.
Maybe that was part of the reason.
I think that's definitely like intentional. Like I said, like the performances in the movie are very over the top, and that feels intentional. Like we got the CEO who's American, the scientist who's American. They all act very silly and ridiculous, and I feel like that's definitely on purpose.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing here, the Situation Room scene. So back when President Obama got Osama bin Laden, there's that famous picture of the Situation Room where Hillary Clinton's there, Obama's there, everyone's there. They recreated that scene. You'll see it here in the movie, where Tilda Swinton is in the same position as Hillary Clinton. So obviously the director's recreating that scene as like I guess a parody of American influence in government. I don't know. So what is that saying? Is that saying that like, this corporation, which is obviously not real in the movie and doing horrible things, is this showing that kind of a lot of things that we see in in our media is not true.
Yeah, that's definitely the big theme of this movie is kind of like the seedy underbelly of like what actually runs America in a lot of ways, which is kind of corporate America, you know?
Now, Plan B, which is the company that owns this movie, that produced this movie, that is owned by Brad Pitt. And this is their second Netflix movie. Their first one is that, what is that, War Mechanic?
War Machine. Okay, with Brad Pitt in that one, yes.
This film company was a Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston, Brad Gray, and then I guess when Aniston and Brad Pitt broke up, Brad Pitt bought the company. So it's Plan B, Plan Brad, I guess.
Fair enough. That's what I was thinking. Okay, I like it.
And so, yeah, he's definitely political, and this might be why he was attracted to produce this movie.
It feels like the kind of thing he would do. This is, I mean, Brad Pitt is famously a vegan also, so I feel like this is a message he can get behind.
Right.
And, yeah, I mean, he also feels very active politically, you know, so.
Now, you mentioned that Brad Pitt's a vegan. Does he publicize that a lot? Like, how, is that kind of just a, if you know it if you're a vegan kind of thing? Like a
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of, you know, maybe more famous people who are vegan who maybe you don't realize it. It doesn't feel necessarily always publicized, but
we should do an episode on that.
I feel like Brad Pitt is one of the more well-known vegans in Hollywood, but I actually learned this because there was a vegan restaurant I used to go to in Worcester, Mass, and they just put like pictures like famous vegans that you should know. And Brad Pitt was like one of them. Paul McCartney was on there. And
I think Bill Nye might be a vegan.
I'm not sure.
Bill Nye,
he wasn't on the wall. So
Bill Nye recently said just a couple months ago that he really can't see why he isn't yet. So he wants to go vegan, and he said he's way more vegetarian than he used to be, and he's getting more vegetarian and vegan every day. So it'd be cool to see if Bill Nye switches over to our side.
Yes. Get more converts.
Yes.
All right, well, anything else about the movie before we go to our reviews, Nick?
I have a little bit of a complaint about the ending.
Oh, you got a bone to pick?
Okay. The ending, yes. Okay. So I get why they saved Okja. I understand. I think it would have been more powerful if they didn't.
Okay.
And I think that, well, okay, one thing bothered me.
If a package of bacon had been delivered to our house or something.
Oh my god! I think that one might be a little too cruel, but super bacon. I think there was like one big thing that I didn't like, and that was that the gold pig. Like the whole idea of the gold pig, because the grandfather said originally that it was like, oh, this is passed down generations, but then he was like, oh, I bought this for you with the money they gave me for Okja. So I'm confused as to why they were like, oh yeah, we'll just we'll give you Okja for the same amount of money that we paid you. Like that transaction to me, right? Like that seemed a little like, why did that actually work?
There were many simplified things about business. It was always like, as long as there's money to be made, then business transaction can take place.
Right.
And so it seemed like a simplified version of business. Like we don't care as long as the money comes out in my favor. Yeah, I'll take that deal every time, kind of thing.
Also, like it would have probably been more in character if she just took the pig and then killed the pig anyway.
Yeah,
like took the gold one. I mean, I'm not saying that's what they should have done. I'm just saying like maybe
personally,
that would have
been. I think that it would have been much more powerful at the end if they had given her Okja and you find out later that it wasn't actually Okja, and maybe like it was a different pig, but there's no way for anyone to know. I think that would send the message. It's like they're all the same to the industry.
To the company.
Well, but I feel like Mija would know.
Yeah.
You know? Because the connection they had,
Yeah, I feel like she would, but it'd be really powerful if it was kind of just like, okay, take Okja, and then they leave, and then Mija realizes it after they've walked out or something.
I liked that the little baby pig came with them.
That was kind of
like that was a nice touch. I just think that like there were definitely two ways they could have ended it, and they chose the more family-friendly one and happy ending. Yeah,
I think if it had gone too dark, I think they were worried that then there's no chance a family's going to watch this movie.
That's true. Right. But I think it would have been like if it was the dark ending, it probably would have done. It would have been a more significant impact on like people wanting to go vegan.
Right. I think that's maybe the biggest complaint with this movie is tone clashes. I think had they kind of like decided to go one way or the other, are we going to gear this towards adults to really kind of like drive this message home and go dark and really kind of make people really think hard about all this stuff by going darker and more real, if you will, or lean more towards gearing it towards kids. The kind of like in between area where it's in makes it just feel slightly disjointed to me. So I feel like tonally they maybe needed just to figure out a way to make them work better together. Yeah.
We've been so trained as American audiences to fit into a category because Hollywood always does, blockbuster. This is a rom-com for the ladies. This is, it's like, it's always like, you can tell they're in a boardroom somewhere like, well, who are we going to get to star in this so that we can get the men to come and the women to come. And here, I really felt like this has, if they had a meeting like that, they failed because there was no direct like category that this movie fit into. And so in a way, it's kind of refreshing that you go to this movie and it's like, I have no idea whether I'm going to like this or not. Like it has some adventure and some excitement and CGI. It has crazy characters. It has darkness. It has political. So, I mean, I think that's interesting if Netflix and things like that allow us to start going in this new direction of just like, whoever likes it can watch it.
Yeah. I agree. I think that like this opens the door for like a lot of more opportunities of, filmmakers to create some refreshing new material that we haven't seen yet. And that was refreshing to see as up and down as it was. It was refreshing.
And I mean, kudos to Netflix for spending, $50 million is a large sum of money. I mean, normally a lot of their productions are a lot less. And to spend a lot of money on probably something that's, I don't know if it's going to generate $50 million with the streams anytime soon. So, pretty cool that they're artistically willing to just go for things like that.
Definitely.
Yeah, they've definitely shown that they've been doing this recently a lot. Like, there's been a lot of controversial stuff that they've been putting out, and from what I've heard, they just, for the most part, they just let the production companies do whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
They'll just put it on Netflix.
Almost like an HBO style. Like we want to take really high quality directors and actors and let them go and like see what happens.
Definitely.
So yeah, that'd be exciting because I mean, for many years we've had very few places where we could see just a smattering of great stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So what are our reviews going to be for this movie? All right. Let's start with Bobby.
All right. My review.
He's got a note.
All right. So I'm going to give this one 2.5 random braces to show the passage of time that disappear halfway through the movie.
That's going to be hard to show.
I'll just show the lady with the braces. So yeah, I think that I'm going to give this one a middle score because I liked it for the message. It definitely helped push me in the direction of vegetarianism. So I really liked it for that, part of it. But in terms of entertainment value, I think that it was hard for me to watch the movie for the story itself. So yeah, there were some powerful parts and some powerful messages, but overall, yeah, I'm going to say somewhere in the middle because I could go without watching it. I'd probably find something else a little more interesting. But yep, 2.5.
All right. I'm going to go 3.5 sample sausages. I thought the movie was visually stunning, and I really enjoyed seeing, different landscapes. I enjoyed seeing all the Korean shots. I thought that the Meek-jae character was just entrancing. So, yeah, I really enjoyed the movie from that level. Tilda Swinton just didn't quite do it for me. I think that they could have found a different CEO that might have helped quite a bit. And I think that if Bill Nighy had been in there to counteract her, it might have been better. But yeah, and also like Paul Dano's character, I wanted something more. Like they used him, yet it didn't seem like they fully got.
He was kind of just doing that Paul Dano thing, which is kind of some weird, like ethereal kind of like. Yeah,
I was expecting it to go further, and it didn't. So that was kind of a letdown in a way. Because I mean, I think there were a lot of elements there that could have been played out just one step further or something. So yeah, it didn't quite evolve to where I thought it could have, but the CGI was fantastic and seamless, and yeah, 3.5.
Awesome.
All right, I've been kind of going back and forth in my head where I want to go here. I think I'm gonna go maybe a little higher than I initially thought I was gonna go, and I'm gonna go 3 dumb Jake Gyllenhaal faces.
Can somebody at least bring me some water?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Bobby in that the messaging in this movie I felt worked well, particularly the second half once we get to once Oakjaw's in New York and at like the factory farm and at the kind of like underground kind of like testing place. That stuff was all very powerful and affecting. But the stuff I had trouble with were some of the performances. Still just went in for one. I felt like it was just kind of odd. And Jake Gyllenhaal, every time he came on screen, I just could not watch. I was literally kind of doing this. I'm like, what is happening right now? This is.
It was very cringy.
I was waiting for the moment, like I was saying earlier, where the cameras would turn off and he would just kind of go to like some sort of like really like ugh.
And he's a great actor. I mean, another movie that he was in with Paul Dano, The Prisoner. Right?
Yes.
Great movie. I love him in Zodiac. He's great.
Yes.
Like if you guys seen Nightcrawler, excellent. In that. He's
Ben Gyllenhaal's a great actor.
Great actor, but this performance for me just was like very cringy. I had a hard time getting through his scenes. Like, and had there been like some scene where like we saw that this was a facade from him, I think I would have liked it better. But this was who he was. The whole
almost
movie.
like if we had two directors, like a director to direct the visuals, fantastic, and then a second actor director or something.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, it was definitely the directing.
But then, like, I have a hard time completely faulting it because I feel like it was intentional too by this director.
Right.
It didn't. That particular performance in Tilda Swinton didn't really work for me. So that's what pulls it down to a 3 for me.
I think I'm also gonna go with 3, but I'm gonna go with 3 Super Pig Jerky. I think I agree with what's been said for the most part. I do think that like I can appreciate what the movie was trying to do, and I think that for the most part the entertainment just didn't really work with me. It's just not the type of movie that I enjoy, especially with the kind of the drastic shifts between really goofy, like when he was like buckle up when they were trying to take the pig, and like very very dark. I think that just kind of made it hard for me to watch. And be really engaged in the movie because I just kind of got thrown out of it for every 5 minutes or something like that. So
cool. All right.
Well, thank you for watching this review. Our next movie that we're going to be reviewing is Amanda Knox.
Yeah.
So go see that movie. That's also, I believe, on Netflix as well.
Yes, it's Netflix Orig.
So you've got a week or two to go see that. Go stream it.
Noxy.
And we'll be reviewing that next. Thank you so much for joining us. And don't forget to comment below. We love reading your comments. And give us ideas for our next films that we should be doing.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Now you know.
Now you know.
I don't know what I was going to say.
Joe.
Hey guys, it's Bobby from Now You Know. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Now You Know Movies, where we did the review of Okja. Make sure to check out our other Now You Know movie reviews. We do a bunch of movies, and we also have a Game of Thrones show that we do, so make sure to check that out as well. If you like this content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like our videos, because we come out with videos almost every day of the week. So definitely subscribe, hit that little notification bell to get notifications, and see you guys in the next one. Now You Know. Boo!